When the electric current inside of your home gets out of hand, circuit breakers are designed to stop the flow of electricity before it becomes a serious hazard.
But the circuit breaker in your home might not be doing its job to keep your family safe. It turns out if you have one specific brand inside your home, then you're at a higher risk for a house fire than your neighbors with a different breaker box. KLTV7's Melanie Torrey has been investigating this story for a couple of days and joins us now with what she's found. Melanie, to me, the most disturbing thing about this is that there have been problems with these breaker boxes for years. The government knows about it, but no recalls are being issued.
That's right, Anissa. The breaker box in question is called a Federal Pacific Electric Stab Lock breaker. We'd heard about some homes in the Midwest having problems with the brand, so we decided to investigate. It turns out it's likely hundreds of these dangerous panels are in homes all across East Texas.
The switch is supposed to flip, but sometimes when it matters most, this one will not.
If you see this, it's bad news.
They're tucked away inside of homes built between the 1950s and 1990s. Electricians say the Federal Pacific Electric Company's electrical panels were some of the most commonly used panels in the country. They were installed in millions of homes across America, including right here in East Texas. The very first electrician I called, Ryan Maresh of Proton Electric, was not only familiar with the problem, but also told me he could think of dozens of local homes that have these faulty breakers inside.
Would you, as an electrician, put one of these circuit breakers in your home?
No.
Ryan says he considers the Federal Pacific breaker unsafe because instead of stopping an electric overload, they continue to force power through the wire. The breakers have been traced to house fires across the country, including this blaze in Ohio.
It could be fatal or catastrophic. So they just simply will not trip. Many of them don't.
This year in East Texas, there have already been multiple house fires attributed to faulty circuit breakers. The Smith County Fire Marshal's office tells me a lot of times when they get on scene, that circuit breaker is already disintegrated. So unless the homeowner knew beforehand, there's no telling if a federal electric panel is to blame.
So how do you know if your circuit breaker is leaving your home and family at risk?
It's real simple. Right here you have an emblem, Federal.
It can be a round emblem or simply read Federal Pacific in a straight line like this. And there's another way to tell.
Another model or color that we're going to look for is orange, where the 20 is, with a black imprint of a 20.
The breaker panels and the circuit breakers or the fuse boxes, depending on how old your home is, are typically not out in the open, so it's not something that crosses your mind on a regular basis.
Paul Finley with the Tyler Fire Department says investigators often learn about strange electrical occurrences inside of a home, but only after it's too late.
And that could be anything from frequent occurrence of tripping breakers or blowing fuses, a wall outlet maybe that's discolored or warm to the touch.
In 2002, a judge in New Jersey ruled that Federal Pacific Electric knowingly and purposely distributed circuit breakers which were not tested to meet standards as indicated on their label. The company has since gone out of business, but the hazard they left behind could still be sitting in your or your neighbor's home.
And the Consumer Product Safety Commission has conducted their own investigation into these breakers. The agency investigated the breakers for 2 years in the 1980s, then reopened that investigation and closed it again in 2011. They said they didn't have enough information to establish whether or not the circuit breakers were a, quote, serious risk. However, as you heard, local electricians disagree, saying they would never put one of these circuit breaker panels in their own homes.
So Melanie, if I go home tonight and I find out I do have one of these circuit breakers in my home and I want to have it replaced, how much is it going to cost me?
Well, the electrician I spoke to in this story said you should probably budget around $2,500 to replace a circuit breaker panel. It doesn't always cost that much, but he says you should expect to spend close to that.
Thank you, Melanie.